Incredible moment, Millionaire's mute daughter discovers her voice with help of a stranger. HEA, in a world painted in shades of wealth, where manicured lawns gleamed and luxury cars glided past, Lily felt more like a ghost. Living as the mute daughter of a self-made businessman, she floated through the halls of her opulent home, trapped in a gilded cage of golden expectations. Her father, ever confident in his beliefs, thought riches could buy happiness. But happiness was a languid melody she couldn't share. People in the picturesque suburban town cloaked their ignorance in smiles, pretending to embrace her silence, mistaking her silence for contentment. One crisp afternoon, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows over the pristine streets, a distant sound of music began to fill the air. Curiosity piqued, Lily slipped out through the back door and followed the notes floating softly into her world. To her surprise, it led to the community center. Inside, she spotted a newcomer, a boy with messy hair and an old guitar, his passion spilling from his fingertips like liquid gold. Jake, he called himself. Each strum seemed to resonate with her hidden emotions, igniting a flicker of connection she so desperately craved. Ignoring the glances from the crowd, she felt the music beckon her closer. As Jake played a haunting melody, Lily couldn't resist. She leaned against the wall and, without realizing it, began humming softly along. It was a melody that expressed everything she couldn't say: all her struggles, her loneliness, and that yearning for belonging. Jake's eyes darted to the corner where she stood, catching the faint sound. Intrigued, he locked onto her gaze. "Hey there. You've got a beautiful voice," he called, his smile warm, genuine. He didn't know she couldn't reply. But in that moment, it felt like a spark of hope. In a town where everyone had placed her in a box, Jake held the door open wide. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As their unlikely friendship blossomed in whispers and melodies, the stark contrast of their worlds unveiled itself more painfully. Jake's struggle to find his place collided with Lily's desire to break free. Her father, oblivious to her internal battles, disapproved of the boy, equating his struggle with failure. But Jake became her anchor, lifting her from the depths of despair and helping her inch closer to uncovering her true voice. Then, everything came crashing down. The charity concert she had once dreamed about became an insurmountable mountain of pressure. Anxiety wrapped around her chest like a vice, squeezing out hope. The night before, her father's rage erupted over an unexpected family crisis, each word adding more weight to her burden. The expectation suffocated her, drowning out the flicker of courage Jake had ignited. Now, backstage, her heart raced as she stood at the precipice of everything she ever wanted. With one tear rolling down her cheek, Lily gasped, the sound barely escaping her lips, trembling as she faced her truth. Would she choose the safety of her father's approval or leap into the uncertainty of her own happiness? Facing the bright lights, uncertainty hung in the air thick enough to choke on. It all came down to this moment. Would she have the strength to speak her silence and finally find her voice? The stage lights blazed like a million stars, illuminating the small crowd that had gathered. A mix of familiar faces and strangers gazed up at her, their eyes wide with anticipation. Lily felt a swell of anxiety rise in her chest as the weight of their expectation pressed down on her like an anvil. Jake stood at the edge of the stage, his expression filled with encouragement. He strummed his guitar gently, creating a soothing hum that cut through the noise of her thoughts. As their eyes met, she found a flicker of reassurance. Did he believe in her the way she was beginning to believe in herself? Taking a deep breath, she stepped closer to the microphone. The fear coursing through her veins threatened to override everything she had built with Jake, every moment of unspoken understanding. Her hand trembled as she awaited her turn, and she could feel the suffocating silence settle like fog around her. Then came the introduction, the announcer's voice booming through the speakers. "Please welcome Lily Gray." A ripple of applause washed over her, yet she felt adrift in a sea of uncertainty. As she took center stage, everything else fell away. She could almost hear the echo of Jake's melody in her mind, urging her to let go of her fears and embrace the moment. "Just breathe," she whispered to herself, a mantra from deep within. But the very air felt electric with tension. Memories of her father's disapproval flicked through her mind like a slideshow, the scorn in his voice, the disappointment etched in his features whenever she even dared to dream. This was supposed to be her moment. She had yearned for this opportunity, yet here she was, on the brink of taking a leap that felt like stepping off a cliff. Her pulse quickened as Jake shifted his fingers over the guitar strings, the warm notes enveloped her, wrapping around her like a security blanket. The song began, a sweet, melancholic strum that resonated with the fight within her. Maybe just maybe she could let them hear what her silence really meant. Lily closed her eyes, summoning every ounce of strength from within. She focused on the music, allowing it to fill her. Then she opened her mouth, feeling the vibrations course through her, raw and unfiltered. A sound erupted, shaky but real, unfolding like a flower blooming under the sun. Her voice cracked initially, but with every note, it transformed into something powerful. The crowd fell silent, their attention glued to her. She poured her heart into the lyrics she had written during countless sleepless nights, every emotion she had buried now pouring forth like a river breaking free. Tears streamed down her face, but these were not tears of fear, they were tears of release. Each word resonated with the pain of her isolation, the weight of unyielding expectations, the joy of newfound freedom. And in that moment, she found a connection, not just with Jake, who smiled encouragingly, but with everyone that listened. The song drifted to an end, and the silence that followed was palpable. Lily's heart stuttered as she opened her eyes, her breath shaky. Would they understand? Was it enough? The sound of thunderous applause crashed over her like a wave. Lily felt as if she were floating, weightless and free. She had spoken, if not with words, then with her soul. But then her gaze dropped, and she turned to find her father in the back of the room, arms crossed, fuming. The proud mask barely concealed the turmoil underneath. Would this be the beginning of her fight for independence or the end of her dream? In that moment, as she absorbed the cheers around her and confronted the reality ahead, Lily realized that her voice was just the beginning. The real battle lay ahead, one that would test her courage in ways she never imagined. But what she didn't expect was how one moment could change everything and how far she would go to protect this fragile new part of herself. Lily stood frozen in the flood of applause, her heart pounding like a drum. Each clap, each cheer felt like validation, but all she could see was the look of disappointment etched on her father's face. That single glance was a reminder that acceptance was still a distant dream. As the crowd slowly began to disperse, an unsettling mix of triumph and dread churned in her stomach. "Lily, that was amazing!" Jake exclaimed, stepping off the stage and pulling her into a hug. His warmth washed over her, momentarily dispelling the chill of her father's disapproval. "You nailed it." "Thanks," she murmured, forcing a smile even as the reality of her father's stance weighed heavily on her. "Did you really think so? Are you kidding? The way you opened up, it was pure magic." His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, but for the first time, a slight shadow crossed his expression as he noticed the tension in her posture. "What's wrong?" She glanced back at the crowd, where people were still buzzing about her performance. But her father remained, a solitary figure with his arms crossed, radiating discontent. "It's just my dad. He doesn't get it. I know he saw me up there, and I don't think he is happy." Jake frowned, concern etched on his face. "You can't let that stop you. You were incredible." "I know," she hesitated, panic bubbling up within her. "But every time I try to do something that feels right for me, it's like I'm letting him down. It's like I have to choose between my dream and his approval." As her words spilled out, she could feel the tears pricking at the corners of her eyes again. The release from her performance was fleeting, brushed aside by the looming specter of her father's expectations. "We'll figure it out together," Jake said, squeezing her hand gently. "Just remember, it's your life, not his. You have every right to chase your dreams." But that weight on her heart didn't lift. Instead, it grew heavier, pushing her to the edge of the stage's wooden platform as she turned again to face her father, whose gaze burned into her like a spotlight. "Lily!" he called, cutting through the fading applause and the chatter of the crowd. "Can we talk?" It wasn't a request, it was an order, and her stomach twisted. She took a step down from the stage, every heartbeat echoing her trepidation. "Sure," she replied, though her confidence wavered. As she approached him, the air thickened with unspoken words and unresolved conflicts. He stood rigidly, an emblem of authority and disappointment. "You embarrassed me." His words struck her like a physical blow. The moment they touched the air between them, she felt deflated. "That's not fair. I did my best." "Your best?" He scoffed, arms still crossed, his disapproval like a thundercloud above. "You ought to be focusing on your studies, not chasing some silly dream of becoming a singer. It's not practical. You're wasting your time." She bit her lip, anger and hurt mingling within. "I'm not wasting my time. This is who I am. You don't understand what it feels like to drown in your own silence." "Stop." He snapped, and the force behind the command sent a tremor through her. "You will respect my wishes." In that tension-laced moment, she saw the chasm that had formed between them. It wasn't just about singing, it was about being heard, about claiming her right to exist beyond the confines of his expectations. "I don't want to hide anymore," she replied, her voice steadying. "Maybe you should try to understand me instead." The look on his face betrayed shock and disbelief, emotions so raw they tore at the fabric of their relationship. As she walked away from him, her heart raced. She only half heard the congratulatory words of friends, consumed by a single thought: how could that moment of triumph feel so heavy? Nothing less than a storm was brewing inside of her. But she also felt that the bubbling defiance was a spark, perhaps the glow of her wavering flame finally igniting. What would it mean for her to truly stand up for herself? Just then, Jake caught up to her, the weight of her father's words still looming over them. "Are you okay?" he asked. Softly. "Not really," she admitted, almost whispering. "But I will be. I have to be." Outside, the night deepened, and with every step away from the stage, the realization settled in that her journey had only just begun. What if, she thought, as they navigated back through the crowd, this is the moment where everything changes. All around them, the world seemed unaware of the shift occurring within her, but deep down, Lily knew she was on precipice. And as she looked back toward her father, still in defiance, questions stirred: would he ever truly understand? With that uncertainty lingering, she took another step forward, ready to confront whatever awaited her next. The battle was far from over, but something within her whispered that this was the beginning of a new chapter. But as she prepared to face her parents later that night, was she ready for the confrontation that awaited? Lily's stomach churned as she and Jake found a quieter corner away from the lingering crowd. The lights from the stage twinkled like stars above them, but all she could feel was the weight of the undeniable confrontation ahead. A small knot had formed in her throat, a mixture of anxiety and determination rising like bile. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Jake asked, his brow furrowed with genuine concern. "You could just avoid it. Let it cool down." "No," she replied firmly, the word escaping as a whisper but filled with resolve. "I can't keep running away from the truth." "Okay," he nodded, taking her hand. "Just know I'm right here with you." As they walked toward the parking lot, each step felt monumental. She could almost hear her heartbeat echoing in time with the light rustle of the leaves. Memories of her performance flickered at the edges of her mind: the cheers, the thrill, the rush of finally being herself. Yet, those moments faded when she thought of her father's disappointment, pulling up in front of their house, the warmth of the porch light spilled onto the driveway, a stark contrast to the chill creeping into her bones. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the discussion that loomed ahead. Clenching her fists, she stepped over the threshold and into the living room. Her mother was there, seated on the sofa, glancing up with a look of mixed apprehension and hope. "Lily," she said, her voice brightening briefly. "We were so proud of you." "Your father, Mom," Lily interrupted, unable to hide her urgency any longer. "Can I talk to you both?" Her mother's smile wavered. "Of course, sweetie." Lily sat down, her heart racing as she glanced at the blank TV screen, the silence heavy. A moment passed before her father entered, his expression still tight, a cloud of disappointment hovering. She caught his eye, ready to speak, but the air felt electric, loaded with tension. "Lily," he said, shifting uncomfortably, "I want to apologize for earlier. I may have overreacted." "Overreacted?" she asked, the words tumbling out with surprising boldness. "You didn't just overreact, Dad. You shut me down. Every time I'm brave enough to show you who I am, I feel like I'm being crushed under expectations. Why can't you just see that this is my passion?" "Lily, this isn't some hobby," he replied, his voice firm yet shaky. "This is life. You need to have a backup plan, a real future. Maybe my future is doing what I love." She shot back, breathless with the force of her own feelings. At that moment, a flicker of something passed over her father's face, a mix of recognition and hesitance. "You think just because you sing well, everything will be easy for you?" "No, I don't think that," Lily said, her tone softening. "But I need you to believe in me, just for a moment. Can't we try to find a way to make this work?" Her mother leaned forward, ready to interject. "Samuel, can we just listen to her?" She poured her heart out. "Isn't that worth it's just not realistic," he replied, this time quieter, almost pleading. Lily could feel her heart constrict. "What's not realistic is expecting me to fit into a box I never belonged in. I want to chase this dream because it's a part of me. And yes, being a singer is risky, but maybe I need a little risk to truly live." The silence that followed was heavy, every breath echoing the weight of her proclamation. The chance of hope felt palpable, but there was also the fear that her father wouldn't change, wouldn't budge from his stance. Jake's reassuring presence calmed the storm brewing within her, but she knew the next words could make or break the fragile foundation of their relationship. She could see the struggle within her father's eyes, torn between his love for her and the fear of letting go. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, a message from someone she didn't expect. What if? She wondered, glancing at the screen. What if this message could be the spark she needed to show her father that believing in yourself could lead to something extraordinary? As she took a breath, she felt the uncertainty coil around her like a fog. What awaited her on the other side of this moment? Would her father finally understand? Or was this just the beginning of an even greater battle? Lily stared at her phone, the screen glowing in the dim light. It felt like a lifeline thrown to her at the moment she needed it most. She hesitated, a mixture of anticipation and dread washing over her. Who could it be? With a shaky hand, she opened the message. "Lily, it's Ryan from the music competition. We should talk. I have an opportunity you might love." Her breath caught in her throat. The competition? She had almost forgotten about it in the haze of her confrontation. But the possibility surged through her like electricity. "Who is it?" her dad asked, eyes narrowing. "It's someone about the competition," she stammered, trying to keep her excitement in check. "I thought you were done trying to make this work," he replied, skepticism clear in his voice. "Maybe I'm not done. Maybe this could change everything," she shot back, feeling the weight of her resolve solidify. Jake squeezed her hand gently. "You deserve to explore every option, Lil." His encouragement filled her with hope. "Dad, please," she implored, turning back to him. "I need to follow this lead. I want to show you that I can make this work. Just let me try. His face twisted slightly, a mix of frustration and uncertainty. Do you really think this is wise? What if it leads to more disappointment? It could also lead to success. She stood taller as she spoke. Isn't that worth taking a chance? The room fell into a heavy silence, the only sound the rhythmic ticking of the clock on the wall. For a moment, Lily felt like she was holding her breath, waiting for him to respond. With a resigned sigh, he glanced at her mother, who was watching intently. I just don't want to see you hurt, Lily. I know, Dad. Her voice softened. But hurting because I didn't even try would be worse. Please, let me take this step. Maintaining eye contact with him, she felt an unbreakable connection, a bond built over years of misunderstanding and love. It was fragile but somehow more cherished in its vulnerability. She could see his hesitation, the internal battle playing out on his face. Finally, he nodded slowly. Okay. If you feel this strongly about it, I won't stop you. But I want to be there for you. I don't want to be the reason you fail. Lily's heart soared. You really mean it? I just want what's best, he replied, the edge in his voice softening. I promise I won't let you down, she said with determination. As she sent a quick reply to Ryan, a weight lifted off her shoulders. There was still a long way to go, but for the first time, it felt as if she wasn't alone on this journey. It felt like a shift, a beginning, but just as hope filled the room, her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Ryan. Lily, can we talk? The message was from Rachel, her closest friend, who had been distant lately. Panic surged within her. Oh no, not now, she murmured, feeling the familiar knot in her stomach tighten. Is everything okay? Jake asked, his concern palpable. I don't know, Lily replied, anxiety creeping back in. Rachel hasn't reached out in weeks. I hope she's not upset with me. Whatever it is, you can handle it, he reassured her. But as she considered the weight of what could come next, she felt the flickering candle of hope dim just a bit. What did Rachel want? Was this about her singing? Would it push her father away again? She took a deep breath, aware that every decision could have a ripple effect. This moment was a crossroads, and she could feel it in her bones. What would Rachel's message mean for everything she had just fought for? Lily held on to Jake's hand tighter. What if this changes everything again? The question lingered in the air, setting the stage for a confrontation she hadn't seen coming. Would her friend's reaction lead to more obstacles? Or would it open doors she had never imagined? Lily's heart raced as she stared at her phone, the screen's glow illuminating her trepidation. Every message from Rachel came with its own weight. The last few weeks had felt like an endless spiral of uncertainty. Closing her eyes briefly, she opened the message. Can we meet? There's something I need to tell you. Each word was a punch, a reminder that this wasn't just about her aspirations. She swallowed hard, feeling the sting of tears threaten to escape. What could Rachel possibly have to say to her now? The nagging thought of rejection tightened in her chest. I really don't know what that could mean, she said, her voice barely audible. Jake's hand gently squeezed hers again, grounding her. It could be good. Or, at least, it might help clear the air. Yeah, maybe, she replied, hoping more than believing. She remembered the carefree laughter they used to share, the dreams they had woven together. But lately, something had shifted. You know what to do, Jake said, his eyes searching hers. Trust your instincts. You can handle this. Her mind flicked back to the hours spent at the coffee shop, cramming song lyrics and melodies, buzzing with creativity and laughter, and how quickly it all shifted when Rachel pulled back. Was it the competition? Was it just the pressure? Okay, she said finally, determination replacing uncertainty. I'll meet her. I owe it to us. Jake smiled, a little wave of relief washing over him. I'll be right here, waiting on you. Lily glanced at the clock. Time was slipping away. She had to muster her courage and face whatever was coming. She texted Rachel, agreeing to meet in the park near their favorite spot, a bench shaded by an old oak tree where they once sketched plans for their future. He watched her stand, his gaze filled with admiration and support, and she felt the strength of their connection steady her nerves. With one last deep breath, she stepped outside, the sun warm against her skin. As she walked, her thoughts raced ahead. Would Rachel blame her for pursuing music? Would she still care? The questions tangled in her mind, each one amplifying her anxiety, but she pressed on. Reaching the park, she took a seat on the bench, tracing the patterns of the wood with her fingertips, their history both calming and painful at once. Minutes passed, and the sounds of laughter and fading conversation surrounded her family strolling, children playing. But all that filled Lily was silence. And then she saw Rachel. She approached cautiously, her brow furrowed, a mix of relief and apprehension flooding Lily's senses. Rachel sat down beside her, the air thick with unspoken words. "Hey, I've missed you," Lily said first, trying to break the tension. "Me too," Rachel replied, her voice soft yet heavy with something unidentifiable. I've been feeling so lost. I wasn't sure how to talk to you." "What do you mean?" Lily asked, the chill creeping back in. Rachel hesitated, glancing away as she gathered her thoughts. "It's about the competition. I've felt out of sync, and honestly, it's about you too. I'm scared for you, for us. What if you go after this and end up hurt?" Lily's heart sank. As much as she wanted to reassure her friend, she understood the fear. She had felt it herself 1,000 times. But what if this is my chance? A long pause hung between them, both grappling with fears and unspoken feelings. "I don't want to stand in your way, but I just wish I could understand what this music means to you now." "I can't explain it," Lily said, searching for the words. "But it's everything. It feels like I'm finally figuring out who I am. But I don't want to lose you." Rachel tears pricked at the corners of Rachel's eyes, and with a shaky breath, she reached out and took Lily's hand. At that moment, it felt like they were both on the edge of something profound. Suddenly, the ripple of tension began to ease. But Lily couldn't shake the feeling that this conversation was only the beginning. What if Rachel understood? What if this moment laid the foundation for something even bigger? These thoughts buzzed around her like a melody waiting to be uncovered, but would they let the music play? And in that very moment, the echoes of the past resonated alongside the whispers of the future. Would they emerge stronger, or would Lily find herself once again, with everything at stake? Standing at the crossroads, she wondered, what would it take to bridge the gap? The delicate moment between Lily and Rachel hung in the air, suspended like an unfinished song. Lily searched Rachel's gaze, craving to peel back the layers of uncertainty that loomed between them. There was something raw and unvarnished in the way they both clung to each other's hands, fingers intertwined as if they were afraid to let go. I just don't know if I can watch you chase after something and then fall flat," Rachel finally broke the silence, her voice trembling. The vulnerability in her words struck a chord, resonating in the depths of Lily's soul. "I can't promise it'll be easy. This music, it's my lifeline," Lily confessed, the warmth of the sun wrapping around her like a hug. "I haven't felt this alive in years. But it's scary, yeah, and I understand if you're worried." Rachel sighed, glancing down at their clasped hands. "It's not just about the music, you know. It's about everything we built. What happens to us if this goes south? I wish I had an answer. But right now, I feel like I have to try. For me." The conviction in Lily's voice spilled out, tinged with hope and a hint of desperation. She wanted Rachel to see her passion, wanted her to understand how profoundly it filled the emptiness inside. Rachel squeezed her hand tighter, tears shimmering in her eyes. "What if you end up in a world where I don't belong anymore? Maybe this is a chance for both of us to grow," Lily whispered, her heart aching for her friend. I don't want to drag you into my dreams if it means losing you in the process. But I also can't let fear hold me back. A brief silence stretched between them as Rachel processed Lily's words. Then, she blinked rapidly, battling back the tears. You're right. We need to chase our dreams. Together. The weight of their fears slowly lifted, and a tentative smile danced on Rachel's lips. Together. Always together, Lily promised, her heart swelling with relief and a hopeful spark igniting within. But there was an underlying uncertainty still gnawing at her thoughts, almost whispering that this moment could easily drift away once they parted. Rachel took a deep breath as if readying herself for a leap. Then I'll support you, no matter where this journey takes you. Lily felt a surge of gratitude as she heard those words. Thank you, Rachel. I really needed this. But just as the air began to clear, Rachel's expression shifted again, worry creeping back into her eyes. But what if you don't need this space anymore once you soar? An unexpected pang twisted in Lily's chest. I'm not leaving you behind. I could never do that. I hope you remember that, Rachel whispered. And at that moment, the silence that ensued felt almost weighty with unspoken promises and haunting what-ifs. Then suddenly, there was a ruckus. A young boy and girl raced by, laughter trailing behind them like musical notes. Watching the joy on their faces, both Lily and Rachel shared a small laugh, allowing it to break the tension once more, but the laughter faded as the reality of their decisions pressed down again. Can we make a pact? Lily proposed, an idea forming in her mind. Let us check in every week. If things get tough, we talk. No holding back. With a smile breaking through, Rachel nodded. Deal. The sun hovered high, casting playful shadows on the path before them, illuminating the traces of their firm resolve. As they sat there, hands still clasped, both knew this was only the beginning of something bigger. But a lingering question hung in the air: would they find harmony in the chaos of their dreams? As the moment began to fade, Lily thought about not just music, but lifetimes of friendship bound in uncertainty. How would they navigate this uncharted path ahead? The tension of potential echoed in her mind, raising the stakes even higher. And just then, a group of familiar faces wandered into view, laughter spilling out as they approached. What new revelations awaited as their past collided with their uncertain futures? The group approached, their laughter bright and infectious, a stark contrast to the weighty conversation Lily and Rachel had just shared. Among them, Sam, Rachel's brother, called out, "Hey! We've been looking for you guys. Come join us." Lily felt a mix of relief and anxiety wash over her. The laughter demanded her attention, but she was still caught in the tide of her exchange with Rachel, the implications heavy and unresolved. Rachel turned to Lily, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Should we? Let us, Lily replied, feeling a surge of bravery. She needed distractions and lightness. They both did. As they walked towards the group, she noticed the way the sunlight danced through the trees, casting playful patterns on the path. It was almost serene, a stark reminder that life still went on outside their bubble. Look who finally decided to join us. Sam teased, nudging Lily as he passed. The others greeted them with warm smiles, a curious energy buzzing in the air. Their friends Derek, Jess, and Mia had been planning a day of fun at the nearby lake, and the idea of splashing away their worries sounded too tempting to resist. Are you guys ready for some serious fun? Jess said, excitement in her voice. Lily exchanged a glance with Rachel. I could use some fun, Rachel said, her smile now appearing more genuine. Can we put a pin in our serious talk? Absolutely, Lily replied, wondering if this was the perfect distraction or a way to avoid facing reality. As laughter echoed around her, they began walking toward the lake, the chatter of their friends lifting her spirits. The path wound through the trees, the sounds of nature mixing with their joyful banter, and for a moment, everything felt okay. When they arrived, the lake glimmered under the sun, the azure water inviting them in. Lily kicked off her shoes, and without thinking, she dashed toward the water. The coolness splashed against her legs, pulling her from the weight of her worries. "Come on, Rachel," she called, her heart racing with the thrill of freedom. Rachel hesitated, uncertainty in her eyes. But as Lily looked back, she offered a warm smile. Together? Taking a breath, Rachel let go of her reservations and joined Lily. They splashed around, laughter spilling out as they soaked each other. For a few moments, the biggest challenges behind them felt less imposing. As they emerged from the water, shivering and giggling, Derek came over with ice-cold drinks. "You guys are real daredevils today." His playful tone made them laugh even more. Caught in the joyous moment, Lily felt a spark of hope. Maybe today wasn't just about escaping worries. Maybe it was about finding the strength to share dreams with the people who mattered. But as the sun began dipping low, the reality crept back into Lily's thoughts. The pact with Rachel loomed over her, promises untested. "Hey, after this, we can grab some pizza," Mia suggested, her enthusiasm keeping spirits high. "Yeah, sounds great," Rachel replied, though her voice lacked conviction. As they dried off and settled onto the blanket spread by the water's edge, Lily glanced at Rachel. She could see the flicker of doubt still shadowing her friend's expression. Just then, a shadow fell over them. A stranger stood at the water's edge, an unexpected presence that seemed to shift the air around them. Dressed casually, with an intriguing aura, he caught Lily's attention. "Do you play?" he asked, nodding toward the ukulele resting beside Derek. Caught off guard, Lily felt her heartbeat quicken. "Maybe a song or two." He leaned closer, a gentle smile lighting up his face. In that moment, a flicker of fear and excitement clashed within her. Would she take the leap? Would she let someone else, a stranger, into her world? Lily's eyes darted to Rachel, who seemed just as captivated. And suddenly, the questions piled up again. Was this a sign to push past old fears? Or was it another reminder of how uncertain the future truly was? And as laughter continued around them, she realized it wasn't just about the music anymore. It was about how much she was willing to grow and change, and whether that meant letting new voices in. "Okay," Lily finally said, the word hanging in the air, full of possibility. What awaited as she took a step forward, ready to embrace whatever this stranger would bring? Lily took a deep breath, her heart racing with the thrill of stepping beyond her comfort zone. The stranger's friendly demeanor eased some of her tension, but uncertainty still gnawed at her thoughts. "Sure, I can play something," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Derek's eyes widened, surprise flickering across his face. "I didn't know you played," he exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face. "Just a little," Lily said, her cheeks flushing a soft pink. She reached for the ukulele, fingers trembling slightly as she took it into her hands. It felt familiar yet frightening, like those unexamined dreams she had tucked away in the corners of her mind. "What do you want to play?" the stranger asked, his eyes sparkling with genuine interest. Something easy," she managed, her nerves settling into a quiet determination. "How about Somewhere Over the Rainbow?" "Perfect choice," he nodded, shifting closer, eager to follow along. As Lily started strumming softly, the laughter from her friends faded into the background. The notes danced in the air, and with each strum, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. It was just her, the music, and that gentle smile from the stranger lighting the way. Rachel, sitting cross-legged on the blanket, leaned forward with a sense of wonder. "Wow, Lily! I had no idea you were this good." Lily's confidence grew as she found her rhythm. It was as if each note unfurled a piece of her that had long been tucked away. She glanced at Rachel, who was nodding along, her expression transforming from doubt to encouragement. The corners of Rachel's mouth curled into a smile that radiated pure joy, and for a moment, everything felt right. The stranger's eyes twinkled as they sang softly together, their voices blending harmoniously in a way she had never imagined. It was spontaneous, beautiful, and surprisingly intimate. She had stepped into a new world, one where she dared to share a piece of herself. As the song came to a close, Derek broke the moment with enthusiastic applause. "That was incredible, Lily. You're a rock star." Lily laughed, a rush of happiness overflowing in her chest. She looked over at the stranger, who was still grinning. "See? That wasn't so hard," he said, and her heart fluttered at the connection. Just then, the atmosphere shifted. The hum of excitement was punctured by the sudden arrival of loud voices from a group down the lake. A couple of people were arguing, their voices rising above the sounds of nature and laughter. "What is going on over there?" Jess asked, a hint of concern in her voice. Lily's heart sank as she glanced over to see 5 guys surrounding a girl who looked on the verge of tears. The tension surged in the air. This moment of joy began to feel fragile against the backdrop of conflict. "Should we help?" Rachel questioned, biting her lip as she exchanged worried glances with the rest of the group. Just as Lily contemplated the right thing to do, the stranger's eyes locked with hers again, a mix of challenge and resolve glimmering in his gaze. "What do you think? Should we get involved?" A moment of indecision hung in the air. She could feel the weight of all that had been unspoken between her and Rachel, the pact that loomed heavier than ever. How could she now step into another world, another situation, without knowing where her own voice would lead her? With the cries for help ringing in her ears, she felt a sudden swell of courage. "Yeah, let us do something," she declared, surprising even herself. In that fleeting second, she understood the choice laid before her. Was this a moment to pull back or to push forward into the unknown? And as they all stood up, the laughter from earlier now replaced by a sense of purpose, one question echoed in her mind: who would she become when faced with the unknown? Little did she know, this decision would push her toward a path she never anticipated, one filled with revelations she never thought she could embrace. What awaited her just around the bend when she took that next step? Lily took a deep breath as she and her friends moved toward the commotion across the lake, her heart pounding in her chest. This was more than just a moment of confrontation, it was a call to action, a chance to prove she was more than just a silent girl hiding in the shadows. The sight of the girl visibly shaken by the group of guys ignited something fierce within her, an urge to stand up not just for herself, but for someone who needed help. "Let us go," she whispered urgently, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she picked up her pace. Rachel, Derek, Jess, and Mia followed closely, their expressions a mix of determination and concern. As they approached, the argument grew louder, the harsh words flying like arrows. The girl, now under a spotlight of judgment, seemed cornered, fear etched in her features. Lily felt her heart ache. No one should feel that way. And that was when she knew she had to act. "Hey!" Lily called out, her voice stronger than she felt. Every face turned towards her, the atmosphere shifting from chaos to expectancy. "What is going on?" The group of guys paused, momentarily caught off guard. "Mind your own business, girl," one of them sneered, crossing his arms. But something had shifted in the air, as if Lily's sudden presence had turned the tide. The power of solidarity, something she had been afraid of pursuing, something her music had promised, was now surging through her veins. "It is our business when someone is feeling threatened," Rachel chimed in, stepping forward beside Lily. The girl looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes at the unexpected support. "You don't have to face this alone," Rachel added, her voice unwavering. Lily shifted her focus back to the girl, who was now staring at them with a mix of hope and disbelief. "You're not alone," she echoed, feeling each word resonate deep within her. The guys exchanged anxious glances, their bravado was slowly crumbling under the girl's newfound confidence. Lily channeled her own struggles into this moment, the fight for her voice manifesting itself in the most powerful way. "We're here for you," she said, locking eyes with the girl. Finally, the tension snapped. One of the guys scoffed before muttering something unkind and turning away, their bravado dissolving in the face of unity. The girl took a deep breath, her shoulders relaxing as she gazed at her saviors. "Thank you," she managed, tears glistening in her eyes. In that instant, the weight that had been sitting heavy on Lily's heart began to lift. As the other friends rallied around the girl with warmth and empathy, a sense of purpose filled her. She had used her voice, her courage in a way that she never thought she could. "Let us get out of here," Lily said, directing the group back toward their picnic area. As they moved away from the tense situation, relief washed over everyone. They rejoined their spot by the lake, breathless yet exhilarated. The laughter returned, buoying the spirit of the moment, reminding them of the closeness they had faced together. "I was so nervous," Rachel admitted, her eyes bright. "But you led the way." Lily smiled, the realization settling in. This moment was transformative. "I couldn't have done it without you all," she replied, her voice steady now. "You made me believe that standing up for someone else helps me stand up for myself too." The evening sun dipped lower, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold. As their laughter filled the air again, Lily looked around at her friends, the people who had seen her struggle, who had fought alongside her. She could feel a shift within. No longer just a mute figure in the background, she had found her voice through companionship, music, and bold moments of truth. Hours later, as they settled down again, passing slices of pizza and sharing stories, the door of possibilities cracked wide open. She would face her father once more, run after her dreams, and nurture her friendship with Rachel. And she didn't have to do it alone. In that warmth of connection, she realized her journey wasn't just about music, but about finding strength through vulnerability, about lifting each other up. That night, as the stars sparkled overhead, Lily felt an overwhelming sense of joy. What if this is the moment where everything really changes? She pondered silently, smiles all around her tucking her into a cocoon of hope. She could taste victory in the air, every challenge brought growth. She would take the stage again. She was ready for whatever came next, not just for herself, but with her friends by her side. And for the first time, Lily felt entirely alive, aware that her transformation was only just beginning. As the music of life played around her, she grasped the fleeting beauty of every moment, and for the first time in a long while, she was ready to face it head-on. This is your cue now. If you love this inspiring journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know you're here, cheering for these transformations. Comment below with your reactions to this incredible ending. We want to hear from you, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful message of courage and friendship. Your support means the world.